Hello, I'm going to do a video of driving home after a gig. Not too late tonight, but it's pretty nasty out. It's pretty almost a little bit foggy. I want to see how FSD handles this. This is FSD 14.2.1.25. This is a gravel unlined parking lot. I usually have to help get out of here. I might have been on 14.1, but it may have been 13.2.9 last time I was here. So let's see if it can just handle it. I'm also going to play with the route. There's several different routes. I want to take the back road route. Yeah, that's the one I want to take right there. Might fast forward a lot of this if it's boring, but definitely a use case. This is a perfect use case for me. This is one of 4 nights that I play, and each night I get out later, and I think on Saturday it'll wind up being, as late as 2:30 in the morning. But after doing it 4 nights in a row, and especially after working all day, on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I mean, you're extremely tired. And so this is a perfect use case for FSD. And one of the reasons that I subscribed to it once I tried it out is just because I really helped with safety for me getting home. Anyone in the music industry knows band members that have gotten in wrecks on the way home. There's some bad reasons, but I've known a couple of people that have, just because they fell asleep on the way home. So generally, you're not playing next door to your house. In this case, it's a 53-minute drive. So I'm going to bump it up to hurry. Again, with this, you can see that there's it's like high humidity conditions, not quite fog, but there's enough to where the roads are completely wet. And this is my Model 3. I got the new version, the Christmas version, on my Model 3. Oh. Yeah, it says FSD supervised may be degraded. I'm assuming it sees the weather, and of course, as soon as I look down for a couple minutes, it's beeping at me to look back up. Because of that, it doesn't just let you, play with your phone and look around all the time. Just only when the conditions are, really good. So, speed limit's 55, and it's going 38 here. So it's definitely taking into account the road conditions. It always drives on this a little slow. 55 is a little bit of a high speed limit for this road, to be honest with you. But we'll see later on. Hopefully, we'll see if it'll get up to the speeds of like 60 on a road like this. It's a little smoother. Oh my! Here's an accident. If this person needs help, I'm going to be ending this video, but looks like they got some help. Yeah, looks like they got some help. Yeah, that doesn't look like there'd be any kind of injury or anything like that. Now this truck up here, I guess, is blocking the way, but he's backing up. Kind of interesting. I mean, version 14 is so great. I mean, you can just have something like that, and I'm just watching what's going on, not even concerned about driving. It literally felt like I was in the passenger seat right there, and then there's a cop behind me blocking the whole road. So I think that person's okay. The car was in pretty good shape, but I am glad that we got out of there just in time, because they're probably going to block that road down until they pull that car out. But yeah, it just, I mean, I wasn't even, when I do these videos, I think about the drive and FSD the whole time. And I just checked out of all of that and was only concerned with that car. And meanwhile, the car, FSD drives me perfectly around it, just like I was a passenger, like somebody else was driving, and I just kind of zoned out on the fact that it was driving, and so that's a that's just how amazing the software really is. I mean, I feel bad doing these videos because it seems like I do focus on a lot of the negative things, and I try to. My goal with that is hopefully for it to maybe get back to Tesla AI and maybe it can make a difference, give back a little bit. Maybe I'm just imagining that because I mean they have so many cars on the road. They I'm sure they know exactly what needs to be done. But anyway, just a great example of how great this software is, and how close we are to not even driving. I mean, let's see where I am right now. I'm at the last, a little bumpy here. The last 1,113 miles of FSD is driven 1,108, rounding to 100%. So I guess we are there, but I guess what I'm talking about is we're that much closer for everyone on the road being driven around, and we're not super close to that, but we're definitely much closer than people say. If you ask certain people, they might say 50 years away. We're much closer than that. I can just imagine that insurance rates, as soon as they realize that the only cars that are crashing are the ones being driven by humans, then I think the insurance is going to go way up for people that are wanting to hand drive their cars. Overall, just making driving so much more affordable, even car ownership more affordable because of the insurance. This is always a slightly unique intersection. It seems like it's handled it well going this way. Going the other way, it has a little bit of an issue sometimes. It's kind of a curved road with another road joined in. It's hard to explain. I feel like now that this model's had a couple of days to breathe, it seems to be it just seems to be really good. It seems, I don't know if it's placebo or what it is, but when these point releases come out, it just feels like it takes a couple of days for them to almost break in. And I think there's people out there that are smarter than me that say that's not possible, but I don't know if the mothership can make little tweaks. But today, this thing is really driving very well. It did kind of like that going around that accident earlier. It did something like that, but in just heavy thick traffic. So I drove a route from work to this gig, which, with no traffic would take about 35 minutes, but it took almost 2 hours because of how thick the traffic was. And it was one of these situations where you have to, you have to go across all these lanes of traffic and almost drive backwards on the road to kind of curve and get into the left lane. I really wish I would have had the camera going. And I was looking at that worried that there's no way FSD would be able to do this because it's a very odd human-like behavior. And it did it perfectly. And I was just amazed. It was patient. It was slow because everything's just, there was so many cars and it just handled it beautifully. So that was like a pretty cool moment earlier, but unfortunately I don't have it on video. But I feel like this model really has broken in a little bit, and maybe it's just the Model 3 versus the Model Y, but it feels really good. The braking is definitely one thing that has greatly improved as well. There's something about the braking where they've really fixed how linear it brakes when it needs to stop. It does not just stop all at once for safety. That's what happens. That when they introduce new models, they make it safe, so it'll stop all real early and then it'll roll forward. This model seems like it analyzes exactly how long it has to stop, and it's very linear, very smooth about it. So that's something that is new and I think it's actually greatly improved in the 2.5, the 14.2.1.25. I think that would be the biggest improvement, other than just some of these amazing things it's pulling off, which it probably would have pulled off in the last version as well, like what I described earlier. But I think that's the biggest thing for me on this version is just the acceleration, really the braking. See right here, it's not stopping super early. I feel like it would have done that before, which I was praising it for before, because 13.29 did the opposite. It would do all of its stopping very late. Once on 13.29, because this is a fairly new light, this was mapped as a stop sign, and once it just pulled right up to that red light, stopped, and then just ran it on 13.29. I remember that because I was very tired. I think I just let it do it. I was like, whoops. It's definitely getting into some of the higher speeds. It was 55, 60 miles an hour in this rain. Super comfortable. I'm guessing if it was dry, and we'll get to experience it. I take this route 3 more times this week. I'm sure it'll be dry one of the nights. It usually will, it usually will speed. So see how fast it goes. It doesn't usually speed as much on these roads in Hurry as it does on the highway, just because they're 2-lane roads and more narrow and they twist and turn and stuff. But curious how V14 does on them. So this road's a 60 and it goes up to a 65. One other note is it seems like V14 is doing a really good job at reading speed limit signs. That's as simple as that sounds. That seems like that's been a problem. I mean, big speed limit signs that would be on the side of a road like this, just clear as day, and it would just go past them and not see them in the past. But that's something that I don't notice being a problem. It's one of those things you don't notice it so until you remember that, hey, it didn't used to see that sign. But speed limit signs seem better, and that one I guess wasn't the one I was thinking of, but it just came across my mind that there's a couple on this road, especially coming the other way, that it would stay at 45, and I would have to. I mean, in the early days, V12, I would literally just have my foot on the gas the whole time while in FSD to keep it going fast. But V13, you'd have to put it in a hurry and encourage it a couple of times to go 65. But no, it seems like it's got that down, so we'll go ahead and fast forward again. This truck is stopping. Is this truck like on FSD V12 or something? Did y'all see that? This truck in front of me came to a full stop at a blinking yellow. That's what FSD used to do. Not a full stop, but it used to, for that light, it used to stop, and you'd have to press the accelerator. I've never seen a human driver do that. So I guess that Dodge Ram's running FSD V11 or V12. It's late. So I think I'm convinced that this truck driver's had enjoyed a couple of nice cocktails this evening. He's actually staying pretty good consistently in the lane. He's not really swerving too much, maybe a little bit. Yeah, there's some swerving right there, but I think I'm still giggling about the fact that he stopped at that blinking yellow. And that's one of the things I like to test on this route, is that see if FSD stops at it. But I've never had somebody stop. But anytime the road changes or turns, he like is on the brakes, like, "Ooh, what's happening?" So I think he's just had a couple of cocktails. But overall, looks to be a professional, experienced drunk driver. So that was really nice. It went from a 65 to a 50 speed limit, and it just very easily and drama-free just went from driving whatever it was, 68 down to 55, a little bit below. It's possible this truck helped it with that, but I don't. It seemed like there was a bigger gap at one point. But we'll be testing that really. One of the worst parts of this drive, where not having the speed control really worries me, is there's a small town that we go through where it goes from down to a 30, and for a good distance. And when you're driving 60, and then it goes down to 45. Well, you're probably really driving 55, and then it goes down to 30, and it's a small town, and you just know there's cops everywhere. It's just really hard if you don't have the speed. So I'm curious if how this version handles that. We've gone from the hard cap of 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour for standard, 10 miles an hour for hurry. Now it seems like those in this version, that's one of the differences in this new version, is they've gone kind of in between what 14.1 was and the 14.2 hard caps. So I'll probably go down to standard whenever we get close to there, just because I truly don't want it to go too fast. It's such a small, clean little town. You just know there's cops, and I've seen them, but it would be nothing to get to go through there at 45 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, and a 30 and get a ticket. Literally, when you go down to 30, 35 miles an hour, you feel like you're walking. Like, it's almost jarring, but it's really important to get the speed down. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. We'll fast forward it down this road, and after the next turn, we'll enter that little town. Okay, so we're making the turn here. This is amazing because I can't even. I always have problems even seeing the entrance, like where to turn. My night vision's not that great, but like I can't even really. Yeah, there it is. It had no problem seeing it. Um, and most FSD's always been fine there. All right, I'm going to go down to standard. Again, depending on how this works, I might try hurry tomorrow when I do this route, but I'll go to standard and kind of see how it handles it. This is just a little bit of the speed limit's 45 right now. A little bit of a curvy road. It's driving, 46? But it'll suddenly go down to 30. I'm really curious how it handles it. Any version before 14, it was really bad. I had to sit here and scroll the wheel down to, even in chill on version 13, it wouldn't change with the speed limits. Almost like it uses it for a suggestion. So there is the sign, 30 miles an hour. Bang, it's in the visual. This is not fast enough. I mean, I'm going 40 in this 30 here. Yeah, it's going 40 still. 40 in the 30, yeah. This is a problem. It's not as bad as V13, but I mean, in standard mode, we've gone from that 5 mile an hour cap. So before this version, it would have just gone straight down to 35. But instead, they've gone back to where they're just using, they're mixing in what it feels like a good speed would be just from looking at the road, and then using some leaves there, using the speed limit signs more as a suggestion. And that's fine, like right here, going 35. I don't mind going 35, but I mean, it's going over 40 there for a second, and then it did not slow down very fast. So that's a little bit disappointing. You know, the good thing about it though is um, I am in standard mode, and so I could just easily go down to chill or sloth, and it'll come right down. So it's actually speeding up nicely for the signs. That's another thing it wouldn't do, is it would stay going really slow. I got a very impatient truck behind me that really wants to get going. He can just go around me if he wants. So I really don't like that it went to 50 miles an hour there, and I was expecting it to start slowing down, but it actually started speeding up. So we were going 70 and accelerating in a 50. I think that's too fast. We're back to the. I said that they went in between with the old ways of it just goes as fast as it thinks it needs to versus using these hard caps. This is a little faster here. This is a twisty turn. It's actually, I said that, but it slowed down just right. It's not too fast. It just was going into it a little fast. But yeah, that was weird because it literally showed up 50 on the screen, and then it started accelerating up from 68. And it's just a guaranteed ticket. And, you know, here in Texas, there's a lot of law enforcement, especially in these smaller towns, especially at night. Okay, so here we are. We're going to back in. We'll see if it can handle that task with the cameras. It's just constantly popping up camera visibility degraded or limited. And it's always the rear camera or the side mirror cameras. Whoa, what was that? I don't know. I didn't have to do anything. That was intervention free. That was a great drive. Um, Nothing really to talk about. We did see that car accident early on and how well it handled that. But thank you for watching. If you'd like more videos like this, let me know. We'll see if we can get some more action, maybe on the highway one of these nights. Maybe a Saturday night, 2 a.m. highway drive. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.